What's up, guys? So I want to go over with you one of the things that I do for one of my clients who is a professional football player. He is in the NFL, and he has hired me to help him optimize his nutrition and recovery. So I every 2 months I perform an analysis on performance and recovery, and I do this based on a couple of tracking sheets that I have him using. Okay, so one is a daily tracking sheet. So I'll ask him, a number of questions, and he'll fill this out every day. You can see on the left, he's been pretty consistent with it. So I'll ask him about his training session, the intensity, how sore he was, his energy levels, his sleep the night previously, the quality, nutrition, mood, stress level, and if he had any cravings. So he'll do this every day. Additionally, weekly, he will fill in a weekly check-in. Okay, this one's already filled out. So again, it'll ask him if he completed his training sessions, how the intensity was, some notes about his strength and performance gains, if he had any injuries, sleep and recovery ratings, nutrition compliance, body composition, some subjective stuff like mental and emotional well-being, actions and adjustments needed, challenges, like just basically things that he needs from me. So he'll also fill this out every week. Okay. So what I do then is I compile an analysis of all of this so that we can figure out what's going on and where we can optimize things, because this guy is already super dialed in, but we want to keep him dialed in and dial him in even more. Okay. Because everybody can optimize what they're doing. And the only way to improve something is to measure it. All right. So here's an analysis of everything that he logged. Okay. So a little summary of everything that he logged, and then everything that I am tracking. I did some data analysis, and here are some relevant points. Okay. I plugged this into a statistics calculator basically and figured out what types of what metrics correlated with each other the strongest so that we could figure out where to make adjustments, right? I know this is pretty high level stuff, and most people probably don't need this, but I'm just giving you a little bit of insight into what is possible if you really dive into the nitty gritty stuff. You can really make huge gains from, dialing in all these little details and just kind of, helping you figure out, ways to make significant improvements that you may not realize if you're not tracking things daily or weekly. For instance, okay, hydration. On days that he drank, more than 200 ounces of water, his energy was significantly higher. Here was the correlation. His mood was better. His sleep quality improved, and his soreness dropped significantly. Again, a super strong correlation. On days when his water intake was lower, soreness spiked, mood dropped. Okay, this might seem kind of obvious, but it's cool to put this into numbers and see the correlations so we can see just how important it was and how much it really affected him. Okay. So again, even if you don't think you need something this in depth and detailed, maybe you do. Maybe this, will make the difference between just okay training and really awesome training. Okay, sleep quality was more important than sleep duration because he slept an average of 8 hours pretty much every single night. But the quality of his sleep, when he rated it lower, it had a huge impact. Okay, his mood dropped, energy dropped, and his stress felt higher. These are all pretty significant correlations. Even when he got 8 hours, if the quality was low, everything suffered. So focus on winding down, no screens, and proper bedtime nutrition. This is something that we talked about pretty recently. So a couple things that we're focusing on with his sleep. So one of them is going to be eating some carbohydrates before bed. Okay, so this may seem counterintuitive to the bodybuilding community because people think that if you eat carbs before bed, you will get fat. In reality, this can actually boost your performance pretty significantly because it will make your sleep more restful. So one of the reasons that you wake up in the morning is because your brain is deprived of glucose, because your brain is working throughout the night, even though your body's asleep, and it needs glucose, it needs sugar. So it's going to increase cortisol, which increases your body temperature, which wakes you up in the morning. Okay, so if we want to have deeper, longer sleep, a little bit of carbs before bed can go a long way. The other thing is that I told him to lower the climate control in the house, lower the temperature in the house when he sleeps. Okay, so he's normally, got the temperature at about 75. I said, hey, when you go to bed, Put it like, 68, 65, because the colder temperature will help you get better sleep. He's already doing blackout curtains and all that kind of stuff, so no issues there. Okay, here was something pretty interesting. So with him, a little bit higher stress boosted his energy. Okay, this is something pretty common that I see a lot in like type A guys who like kind of go after their problems, and they don't get beaten down by them. So when they are faced with a challenge, they tend to be more on the ball. Okay, so this is a pretty significant correlation, but also a pretty significant correlation. We had sustained high stress, which was more than 2 days, pretty much the exact strength of correlation in the opposite direction. So his mood was crashing. All right. So an obvious one, the more intense training sessions cause more soreness with a strong correlation there. Okay. Here's some other correlation tables that I created. So hydration and energy. Obviously, more water was correlated with more energy. Less water was correlated with more soreness. Poor sleep with poor mood. Um, a little bit of stress with better performance, and then his training intensity and soreness. So obviously, the harder he trained, the more sore he got, which is good. I guess that means that he is understanding what is hard work and what isn't, which is important, which brings us to our next point, which is our auto regulation protocol. Okay, so this is what I want him doing, sort of in the off season when he's able to control his own training. So using those daily check-ins, when his sleep quality is below a 6 out of 10, when his soreness is a 7 out of 10, when he is underhydrated, and these are going to be different metrics for everybody. Okay, this is what I have for this guy, because these are the things that I notice. When his water intakes drops below this amount, that's when it affects his performance. So it might be different for other people. When his stress is greater than a 6 out of 10 for 2 days in a row, that's when his performance. When he's in the gym, I want him to cut the load a little bit. We're not going to do max effort work. We're going to prioritize full range of motion, tempo, and getting a pump. Okay, so these are going to be more like his bodybuilding isolation type days. Okay, we're not going heavy and we're not doing anything explosive. Now, on days when his sleep quality is good, when his soreness is low, when he's hydrated, when his mood and energy are 7 or higher, that's when we're going to go hard. Okay, that's when we're going to go heavy and fast. And this may be a couple days in a row. Maybe you can sustain this for 2 or 3 days. Maybe not. It's going to depend on the day, and it's going to be different every day. Okay, so summarize things a little bit. We kind of went over all this on a call. And then finally, I just put some pretty graphs here. Okay, so a water and soreness correlation, because it really helps to visualize just how significantly his water intake affects his soreness. And the little body weight graph, because we were tracking his body weight, which didn't change too much, but also wasn't something we were going for. We actually wanted this to stay stable, which it did stay very stable. This graph, it starts at 295 at the lowest and 305 is the highest. So this, it looks like there's a lot of peaks and valleys, but there really isn't. When you're at these body weights, 10-pound fluctuations mean almost nothing. All right, so anyways, that's like a super in-depth way that I can go into some of my clients' check-ins and make sure that we are optimizing everything that we do for peak performance.